Today I will be showing you how to make this alligator, and if you want to make the exact same one like I am, you'll need 2 blacks, 2 red, 16 whites for the teeth, and between 250 to 300 green rubber bands. So let's get started. First, we are going to make a little prep work. So you'll need to make 16 teeth by tying knots on your loom, and I'll show you how to make one, and you'll have to pause the video to make the 15 more. It's like the hippo and the T-Rex's teeth. So we're going to take a single rubber band. Anywhere on your loom, you're going to put it on one peg, cross it over, and pull it down a little, and cross it back and loop it back onto that peg like that. And then you're going to pull over the bottom rubber bands to create your knot. And there's my knot. So go ahead and pause your video to create 15 more and come back when you're ready. And now we'll make the feet. And for the feet, the front ones I made like this, and I think I like that better. I made the back ones. If you want to do this way, you can, giving it a thicker thigh, but it just flops out. So I'm going to make the same ones on all 4, and I'll show you how to make one, and you can pause the video and make 3 more. So for the legs, you want to take 2 single rubber bands at the top of your loom and put it from the first peg to the second peg. Take a single, double it, connecting it, and we're doing this twice. That's my second one. And now I'm putting the toes on. And for the toes, I'm making 3, and I'm going to do the exact same way, taking a single and looping it twice to create 3 loops. Taking a single, double it, and pulling the looped rubber bands onto that single we doubled. And do that one more time. Single, double, and pulling it right onto our rubber band. And once you've done that, go ahead and put it right onto that end peg, the 4th peg, and repeat 2 more times. Take a single, loop it twice to create 3 loops. Take a single, double it, and pulling the looped rubber bands onto your hook like that. Repeat one more time, single, double, pulling the rubber band onto your hook and adding it to our peg. And we're doing this 3 times, so that's our second one. Single, loop twice to create 3 loops. A single, double it, put it on your hook. A single, double, and pulling it right onto. Make sure you don't twist it. You can flip this around and loop it right back onto your hook like that, and add it to your foot. And let's go ahead and go under those cap bands. If you can't see it, pull it out, grabbing the bottom 2 and looping it onto itself, creating the teardrop. And you want to see the teardrops. And lastly, loop it onto itself like that, and take it off your loom and put it aside for later. And for these, you can just leave it like that. And I've made 3, a total of 4 prior. So go ahead and pause the video to make 4 legs and come back when you're ready. And now I'm going to make the eyes, taking a single black, and you can make it whatever color you want, yellow even, and loop it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking a single red, double it, and pulling the eyes right onto the red rubber band. That's one eye. My next one, same thing. Take a single black, loop it 3 times to create 4 loops. Take a single red, double it, and pulling the eye right onto that rubber band. And now, since this is going on the face, go ahead and take a single rubber band and pulling it, the eyes right onto that single rubber band. And let's put it on a holding hook for later. And now we are going to do the top of the mouth, taking 2 single rubber bands on the top of our loom like that. We're going to put it on either side, 2 rubber bands down, 2 single rubber bands at a time. And then coming down with 1 single rubber band twice. Repeat on the other side, single rubber band. So that's what you should have so far. And now towards the end of the mouth, we're going to take a single, double it, and put it from the side peg to the center peg. Same thing on the other side. To close it up, take a single, double it, put it from the side peg to the center peg. And now down the center, we're taking 2 single rubber bands all the way down. And you can push this rubber band down. That's 2 single rubber bands. And let's go ahead and loop the end peg 3 times to create 4 loops. If you can't do 4, then go ahead and do 3. Now let's put some holding rubber bands, taking 2 single for the top of our mouth here, creating that triangle, another 2 single right on that triangle. Now take a single, double it, and putting it across, creating that triangle. That's a single, double. This is 2 single, 2 single. Now we're going to take another single, double it, and putting it in on the end peg here. And if you want to add a nostril, you can, but I added one here on this guy and I can't really see it, so I'm not going to. And if you want to add the nostril, do the same as the T-Rex and add it onto the single that we doubled. Let's add some teeth to our mouth, the top mouth here. Push everything down, the sides, and we're going to add our teeth on these 4 pegs. So taking our teeth from where we have it, put our hook through the loops, and just go ahead and add our teeth onto those 8 pegs. So now my teeth are on these 8 pegs. We are going to loop up. Go under the cap band, that center, grabbing the top 2 and looping it onto itself. And let's just go ahead and finish the center of the mouth. And now let's work on the sides. Go under the cap band, grabbing the top 2 and looping it onto itself. Going under the cap band again, grabbing the next 2, looping it onto itself, and let's finish either side. You can choose. And if there's any tension, don't over pull to break your rubber band, just release it and pulling it onto itself. And you want to grab the bottom rubber bands to loop onto itself. And you want to see teardrops, and you can fix your teeth later once your gator is off the loom. You can make your gator dark green if you want, and I would recommend yellow eyes if you do the dark green, but that's up to you, or you can make them brown. Now we're taking it off the loom, and this is the top of the mouth, and don't take it off these 3 pegs yet. Take it carefully. I'm putting it on our holding hook, and I'm going to get it upside down, so reaching under the peg, not from the top, grabbing it because then our mouth will be flipped the right side up. But you can always twist it later if you can't do this. So there's the top of our mouth. And my gator here, front nose is thicker because I had the nostrils in there. So if you like it like that, go ahead and put the nostrils in. Now let's make the bottom of the mouth, taking 2 single rubber bands on either side. Taking a single, put it from the 3rd peg from the center to the side peg, connecting it like that. Now taking 2 single rubber bands, coming down once on either side, and we'll make the mouth narrower, taking a single and coming down twice. Repeat on the other side, single, down twice. And let's close up the bottom of the mouth. Same thing, take a single, double, from that peg to that peg, single, double, from this peg to that peg. Now closing up the center of the mouth, the bottom, taking 2 single rubber bands, right down the center pegs. Let's cap the end peg there 3 times to create 4 loops. Same thing, 2, 3, 4, same as the top. Put some holding rubber bands, taking a single, double it, putting it across here, single, double, we'll do 4 times. 1 across here, and these 2. Single, double, single, double, like so. And now scooch it down a little, we're adding the teeth. Taking your teeth from where you had it, put your hook through the loops and put it on these 8 pegs. Now that our teeth are on, let's loop up, go under the cap band, grab the top 2, and loop up the center peg all the way to that 3rd peg. Reach in, grabbing the top single, looping it onto itself. Same on the other side, looping it onto itself. Go back under the cap band, grabbing the top 2, looping it onto itself. I'm doing my left side, and if there's any tension, release it. So it also evens out your rubber band. It's a single, it's stretched out. I'm finishing up my left side, going under all those cap bands, or holding bands, grabbing the bottom single rubber band. This is 2 on this peg, and 2 on this peg, and looping it onto itself. You want to see nice teardrops forming. Same on the other side. And you can always fix your rubber bands later, and your teeth and everything later. Just make sure you loop up the right rubber bands. And once you've done that, go ahead and take it off your loom very carefully. Make sure you don't take these two off. We're going to put it on a holding hook for later. There's the bottom of our mouth. Let's put it on a hook for later. There it is, and it should match the top of our mouth like that. And let's make the tail single rubber bands from the top of our loom, coming down like that. We're making it like the T-Rex's tail. Next row, 2 single rubber bands, and we're going to make it a little thinner. We're coming down with the single rubber bands 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want to make it a little longer, go ahead and extend it, but that's all I'm doing. So on the other side, repeat 2 single rubber bands after the first one, and then coming down 4 times with a single rubber band. Now let's come down the center, 3 single rubber bands, coming down twice to make the base of our tail thicker, coming down 2 times with 2 single rubber bands. So that's a single, 3, 3, 2, 2, and coming down 1, 2, 3 with the single. Down these 3 pegs are singles. Now take a single and put it from the side peg to the very tip of the tail to close it off, like that. Push it down. Take 2 single rubber bands for the tip of the tail to make it a little sharper, and if you want it to make it longer, extend it. And loop that off 3 times to create 4 loops. On my gator here, I added a little bit of ridges on the back. So let's go ahead and do that. We are taking a single, looping it 4 times on our hook, like so. Taking another single, double it, pulling the looped rubber bands onto our hook, like that. Now take a single, double it, pulling those rubber band onto your hook, like that. And now we are putting it across on our loom. So it's from the second peg to the second peg with a ridge pointing down, and it acts also like a holding rubber band. Now take a single, double, and we are putting it across here. We're skipping 1. So the next one we're adding the ridges again, 2, 3, 4, looping it 4 times, single, double, pulling it right onto our hook, single, double, and putting it onto the 4th peg. I'll go all the way across to the 4th peg. That's the little ridges on the back of the tail. The next one we're skipping, so we're just doing a single, double, across. Now we're adding the ridge again, taking a single, loop it 3 times to create 4 loops. Take a single, double it, and pulling it right onto our hook to create our ridge. Taking a single, double, and pulling it right through and adding it onto our tail And the last one, we won't put the ridge there. And now let's go ahead and loop up, go under the cap band, grabbing the bottom two, loop it onto itself. In the next peg, grab the top single, whichever one that is, and pulling it onto itself. Go back in the top single, and the last single. Let's go up the center of our tail, all the way up, looping the bottom rubber bands onto itself, creating teardrops. Doing the sides now, pull back the holding rubber bands. Repeat on the other side. So we looped all the way up to there. And now let's take it off the loom. Carefully. And don't take it off these three top ones. We're going to put it on a holding hook to add to our gator later. Carefully putting it on a holding hook for later. So there's our tail, and you can fix it later if you want. Let's make the body, taking 2 single rubber bands from the top of our loom, coming diagonally. Repeat on the other side, and come down 1 with 2 single rubber bands, and close it up to the chin peg, like that, and push down on the chin peg. Repeat on the other side, same thing. And close up the center of the face with 2 single rubber bands. And we're doing a little bit of a neck like the T-Rex, taking a single, putting it to the side, and 1 down. Repeat on the other side, take a single, putting it to the side, and coming down 1. And make sure when you're putting rubber bands on the neck peg here, push it down and don't let it overlap. Now taking 3 single for the center of the neck to make it a little stiffer, and coming down 1. And now we are starting the body, taking 2 single rubber bands on the side, and repeat diagonally for the other side. And now we are coming down 4 times with 2 single rubber bands on either side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and close it off to his bottom. Other side. And close it off. Coming down the center, the first one I'm doing 2 singles, because we have a lot of rubber bands there already. And then the rest of the body, I'm coming down 3, taking 3 rubber bands, doing that 3 times, 3 single rubber bands. And the last one to connect to the bottom, I'm doing 2 single rubber bands so it's not so thick. And let's put the capping band on before we put on the tail. It gets a little harder. I'm looping it 3 times to create 4 loops, and you can do it 3 times if you want. Now let's make the ridges on the back, and I'm going to repeat it the same as this one. So taking a single, loop it 3 times to create 4 loops, taking a single, double it, getting the looped rubber bands onto my hook, taking a single, double it, and this will be for the neck area, so I'm doubling it and putting it right onto my hook and onto the 3rd peg from the top across. This is for my neck rubber band. It also acts like a holding rubber band. So single, double onto the ridge, taking a single, looping it 3 times to create 4 loops, taking a single, double, and pulling it right onto my hook to create another ridge, taking a single and pulling it right onto my hook and putting it right onto the 4th peg to create that ridge there. Now we're going to skip 1, taking 2 singles, creating the triangle. Let's create another ridge. Same thing, taking a single, looping it 3 times to create 4 loops, taking a single, double, pulling the ridge right onto that single rubber band onto a hook, taking a single, get the ridge on there and putting it across like so. There's a ridge. Now let's put a holding rubber band, taking 2 singles and putting it triangle there. Last ridge, take a single, loop it 3 times to create 4 loops, single, double, getting the ridge onto my hook, taking a single, getting it onto the single rubber band and putting it right onto the last 2 pegs there. That's our last ridge. Let's put our tail onto the loom, and we're turning where the bumps are downwards, and there should be 3 sets of 2 single rubber bands. I'm putting it on this peg, and this peg at the bottom. So wherever you want to start, if yours goes to the left first, start at the left. Mine's starting at the right. Pulling it under the center peg. Make sure you don't twist your rubber bands. Pulling it right onto the peg. And the last 2. So you should hook it on this peg, and that peg, and pushing the tail down. And let's add the back legs and putting the loops onto my hook. I want it to turn the right way. Make sure your toes are pointing forward, and putting it on this last peg. So that's one of the foot. The other back foot, make sure it's turned correctly and add it to that last peg, putting it through the loops. And let's put on the eyes, taking it off of your loom, putting it from the second peg all the way across, and don't let it twist. Separate them and looping it up over that second peg. So there's your eyes, and let's put a holding rubber band, single, all the way across to create your triangle. Now let's loop up. Go under the cap band, grabbing the top two single, push the tail and everything back, grabbing the top two single, it should go up the center. See the nice teardrop forming? Go back in, grabbing the next two, single, looping it onto itself, creating teardrops in the last two. Creating teardrops. And now I'm coming down up the side, looping up to this peg and that peg. So any side you want, turn it to the side, go under, grabbing the bottom two bands, looping it onto itself. Make sure you don't loop any holding rubber bands, pull them back and stop there. That's the fourth peg from the top. Repeat on the other side. Go under, grabbing the bottom two, looping it onto itself. Stop there. Now let's add our arms, taking our arms that we created earlier, putting it on through the loops. Go under the shoulder rubber band, grabbing the top two single, don't grab the bottom single that goes up to the neck, and looping it right onto that neck peg, that center fourth peg. Repeat on the other side. Take your last arm, put it through the loops, go under the peg, fourth peg, grabbing the top two single for the shoulder rubber bands, pull your front legs through, looping it onto the neck peg there. And now let's do the center of the body. Go all the way up, creating teardrops as you go. Making sure you check that you have teardrops up and down your body. And looping it, the last one should go on the neck peg right there. And let's go ahead and loop up the neck peg. Go all the way in, pull all the rubber bands back that we looped up, grabbing the bottom three. You should see teardrop forming and looping it onto itself. That holds our body now. Now let's do the side of the neck. Grabbing the bottom singles and looping it onto itself. And you should have teardrops down your body. Let's go under the chin peg, grabbing the top two rubber bands and looping it onto that peg. Same thing with the other side. You should see teardrops as you form it, pull it out, and looping it right onto itself. Now let's push all these. We can release the side neck rubber band, push it down, because now we're adding the bottom and the top mouth to our gator. So there's a bottom. We want to do those first. And there should be 2 sets that you want to add on this peg and this peg. There should be 4 rubber bands on each. So carefully pulling those 4 rubber bands onto those pegs and loop it under the 3rd peg and pull it on the other side like that. So that's the bottom mouth with our teeth pointing up. Putting on here and here should be 4 single rubber bands on each. Now we're adding the top of our mouth, and again there should be 4 sets or 3 sets of 4 rubber bands each, and we're putting it on this peg, and that peg. Let's go ahead very carefully. Don't lose your rubber band and don't twist it. Putting all the rubber bands onto those pegs. Make sure you get all the 4 onto each peg, otherwise your mouth will come apart. Push it down. There's our mouth, the top and the bottom. Let's go under those rubber bands, grabbing the bottom 2. Make sure you grab the bottom 2. And this rubber band here holds everything together and looping it up onto itself. And let's finish up the side of the head. Go back on the other side. Grabbing the bottom 2. Looping it onto itself and finishing up the top of the head there. Push it down and let's grab the last center rubber band. Should be the bottom 2. And we are about done. Taking our slip knot rubber band, pulling it through and tying it off. Now take him off the loom. There's our gator. And the eyes will probably be pushed backwards. Just go ahead and push it through the socket for both sides. Pull it out. And straighten him up. Straighten his legs up. And go under the neck, grabbing those rubber bands and pulling it up to make him look up. Tuck in the charm string if you want. And here are his ridges, the bumps on the back. So there's your gator with his gaping mouth. I hope you like him. Thanks for watching.